Hello there, masterpiece makers. Today's episode is all about overcoming seemingly insurmountable obstacles. And we have a truly inspiring guest to guide us through it. I will be sharing with you my conversation with Sarah Collins Prince. Sarah's life path took an unexpected turn when motherhood, a chapter she never envisioned for herself, became her reality. But with her unwavering spirit and a dedication to helping others find purpose, she navigated the challenges of raising a child with special needs in a new and unfamiliar environment. Sarah's story as an author and life coach isn't just about overcoming personal struggles, but about finding strength and resilience in the face of the unexpected. Through her journey, she discovered a deeper meaning of family, community, and ultimately her own purpose. We will also be talking about some strategies that you can apply to your own journey in overcoming obstacles. So, let's get inspired with Sarah Collins Prince. I am your host, Norbert Elnar, and welcome to the Making a Masterpiece podcast. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another exciting episode of Making a Masterpiece. Today, it is an understatement that I tell you I'm really excited for this conversation. And joining me now, all the way from South Africa, is Sarah Collins Prince. She's an author, a coach, and a mom. And you know what? Her story is nothing but inspiring. Sarah actually just wrote a book, and we're going to talk more about that book later on. It's entitled Anguish to Awakening. And when I read the synopsis of the book at the back, the first line there is, I never wanted to be a mother. Oh. Hi, Sarah. Or you say hi to our guest.
Hello.
I just want you to clarify this very strong statement because it doesn't seem to, follow you online. You look like you're having the best time of your life being a mom. But when I got your book, this is the first thing that I read at the back of the cover. So why don't you take us through that?
Yes, I did not be a mother. I had lots of ambition and goals and dreams and all in the name of Jesus Christ, but motherhood was not one of them. I loved mothering other kids. I was always shepherding, but no, I finished college, got my master's of divinity, became a pastor, and wanted to change the world for Jesus Christ, and didn't really have motherhood as part of that. So it was surprising to learn that I loved motherhood, that I loved being a mother to my own kid, and how much the journey enriched my life. It really surprised me. As I think a lot of women feel maternal, they always want kids, they always want to raise a family. That was not my experience. It surprised me, which then made the surprise move of just what happened in our lives shock me even more because I didn't know that I wanted this thing, but then I fell in love with it.
Wow. Well, again, welcome to our show. And we're so glad to have you with us. Sarah, for people who probably have not known you, and just for a little background, you guys are originally from America, and then you and your husband, Casey, you moved your lives from America into South Africa, and then you did a lot of ministry stuff there. From there, you built your family. You took a big leap of faith, moving your family to Africa for ministry, but your path took an unexpected turn with your son's diagnosis. Can you please tell us what kind of diagnosis he received and how it affected your life as a family?
Yes, so we felt called to come to South Africa. We moved into a South African township. It's called Ocean View. It's a mixed race township. And we fell in love with the people, fell in love with our ministry. We were living on a church property and we had started a nonprofit. And we were just loving life. And so into that came our son, Keller. I had my daughter here in America. We brought her over. And then Keller was born. And we had this expectation of him being a part of our ministry. We're just bringing him in. He was just welcomed by all the church people, the community, by the soccer community. And then about one, we started to notice that he wasn't speaking. He wasn't moving ahead in eating different kinds of foods. He was really agitated anywhere, like at church, on a holiday, at the grocery store. And so when he was 1.5, he got a diagnosis of autism, which we literally didn't even know what autism was. We left the pediatric neurologist, got in the car, and had to Google how ignorant we were, which is so mind-boggling now because we were here to serve the last and the least, and we had no idea about the entire community of people struggling with disability. But we Googled it and confirmed, yes, that was definitely what Keller had, and really went into grief because how can we as pastors, as communicators, as community developers living in a community, how can we have a child who doesn't speak, who can't be around people, who will participate in what we thought was our calling? And so we really had a time of grief. His main markers were not speaking. He couldn't be around people. He was very low in gross and fine motor skills. As I said, he wasn't eating things. It seemed almost like a death sentence to what we had planned for ministry and what we felt God was calling us to. So we grieved and then we dove in.
Well, that must have been a big shock. Hey, because as what you said earlier, you never imagine yourself as a mom, and then you're in a very displaced area. It's not your comfort zone. There's no family around you, and then you get this news. I'm just curious. Do you still remember what was the first thought that really came into your mind when the doctor said, like, "Hey, guys, this is the diagnosis"? Like, how did that feel? What was the first thing that came to your mind?
I think it was just no. You know, when you think God has said something and when you think God is leading you in a direction, you know, when something comes up against it, and often we're taught to pray to come up against things. So I just know. And people would say to us, you know, oh, he'll be healed in Jesus' name. And, you know, they just would kind of say, of course, Jesus is just going to fix that. But I just remember thinking this can't be. And I remember reading God, very, very deep, guttural lamentation prayers to God. No, you can't, this cannot be our story. You cannot do this, you know, and we've been so, well, you don't think you'll think that way when something bad happens, but it's like, we've been so faithful. We've given our whole lives to serve you. Like, there's no way this is our story. And early on, and God hasn't spoken to me many times in my life, but early on, he said to me, as I'm crying out, you will see autism as a kid. And I said again, no. I just said, no, God. And many years later, that is exactly what it was. But in the moment, it felt like a death sentence. It felt just the worst thing that could.
Just the awareness of our listeners who probably find themselves in a similar situation. What kind of adjustments do you guys have to do as a foreign family living in a foreign land? What are the steps? Did you had like a big family meeting and like, this is what we're going to do? Or was it you just went on with it? And then how did you manage the situation?
We really first had to listen to God because it seemed bigger than us. And people pretty early on started saying, you need to come to America. And so we just went to God because we knew it was his story. It was his son. God loved him more than we did. God loved our calling and our purpose more than we did. And so early on, God said, I will do a miracle in Keller's life in Ocean View. And so we just knew we were supposed to be there. And I knew that my life was going to shift. And so after grief, I think is a really important part of crying out to God. But then after that came acceptance. And so I just threw myself in. And now looking back, I see how unique that is too. That's my personality is I throw myself in. So I got every book I researched and we just built kind of this team around him. So it started with one therapist. And the preschool where my daughter already was, we just built and built and built. And we had therapy all the time. After a few months, we called it therapizing. Every part of life was therapy. Everyone was involved in therapy. And it was just intervention at all times. And we made it fun and we made it enjoyable, but it was also hard. You know, my son wouldn't wear shoes. My son wouldn't eat any food that had any texture. You know, we had to slowly push him accept these things. And so it was really hard therapy at times, you know, but it also was very celebratory. So his first word was looking at an elephant and making the elephant noise, just And we
Oh, wow.
rejoiced. He had no communication at all. And so every tiny little step he took, we celebrate. So it was really hard work, but it's also this culture of celebration. We were just celebrating. We were praising him. We were proud of every step that we took. It felt like we were all taking step by step by step ahead. And so there was a lot of encouragement, and just the cognitive ability that he had in his brain meant that he could make strides and he could grow and he could learn. And so eventually it was one, then it was 5 words, then it was 100. Then he was, walking, then he was kicking a ball, then he was learning in a classroom. It just building, and we just celebrated every single way.
Wow, that's incredible. I couldn't imagine. It just reminded me of the verse that says, I count it all joy. And I think in the smallest things that you were able to celebrate, that it must have been really, really impactful in every single step. That's very heartwarming. Sarah, how is your son now? You said earlier that there's a miracle in his life, and his whole life is a miracle, but how is he doing now? And what do you think every time you see him?
Great question. Really great question. So my son had 4 years of intensive therapy, and because of his brain ability, neural pathways were changed. So we say that God did a miracle, but really the people that God brought into Keller's life to help him grow and learn, and the environment we were in, being in a community where people always were there, connecting with him, teaching him how to be a friend, teaching him how to love, teaching him how to have connection. And so he officially lost his diagnosis with the neurologist when he was, which is very unique. It's very unique, and it's something that can happen with kids that are diagnosed quite early, that actually the cognitive ability and the neural pathways in the brain change. So it's scientifically something that can happen. And we now have this very, very active, fun, hilarious boy. It was such a weird experience going from having a special needs son to having a son. And he still is a very sensitive boy. He still has a different brain. And like my daughter who has ADHD has a different brain, and I have ADHD, now we've learned. But he has a million best friends. He just had a birthday party turning 12, and there were 32 friends there. He's about to go on a soccer tour with school. He's hilarious. He's kind. He's kind of shy, but he's an extrovert. He likes people around all the time. And what's most important is that he's learning who God made him to be. And he's growing passions, and he's growing ability, and he's loving people well. He's kind. He was just a care monitor at school, and we just had a parent-teacher meeting, and the teacher was congratulating him for being a great care monitor and caring for others. And, I remember crying out to God and saying, will he ever love? Will he ever be loved? And I think it's something every parent wants. But also, that's what God created us to be and to do. He created us to be loved by God and by others, and to love others. And so I can really say my son, he's he's a living example of love. But he's just the strangest, weirdest, silliest 12-year-old. And every day I just remark about where God set this miracle in place, because the miracle isn't him losing his diagnosis. That happened in his brain. As I said, it's scientifically possible. The miracle was these people that God brought to walk alongside us and walk alongside him, these therapeutic interventions, these ideas, miraculous, how God intervened again and again with what he provided for us. And he's just a walking marker of God's love.
So beautiful. I'm having goosebumps all over listening to that, because I've met Keller, and boy, burst with laugh. And what an amazing testimony that is. I'm sure God has big for him. Whatever it is, I'm sure it's going to change the world in the way Jesus wants him to. Well done to you guys for pressing on. Wow. Wow.
Do you feel called to build something incredible, but self-doubt is holding you back? Do you have a God-given vision burning inside you, but are unsure if you're truly on the right path? Well, stop feeling stuck and join the Masterpiece Kingdom Brand's free online course, The 7 Signs You Are a Kingdom Brand. Discover the key traits of a kingdom brand and gain the clarity and confidence you need to pursue your God-sized dream. This on-demand course will provide you with a 10-part video series exploring a 7-sign checklist that will clear the confusion, ignite your inspiration, and ease your anxieties. We understand the fear that comes with taking that leap of faith, so you don't have to walk this path alone. You can finally break free from feeling stuck and embark on the incredible journey that awaits you. Visit www.masterpiecebrands.com and sign up for the free 7 Signs You Are a Kingdom Brand online course today.
Life throws hectic curveballs at us. And I think in this episode, we just also, you've described so many truths, realities of the modern world, and so many challenges and problems. And people are overwhelmed with all these things. And as life throws curveballs, sometimes people meaning well, even the people who are close to us and who love us, can to the pressure with their opinions and expectations. During this particularly difficult time, which a lot of our listeners probably are also experiencing now, how did you prioritize your own well-being and navigate the external voices?
It's a great question. And it's a great question for anyone living in this world. But it's a bigger question if you're called to impact people or to build something or to share or to teach or to minister or to shepherd people, you have more voices. So it's hard in today's world, especially with social media. There's so much noise. But I think as people of God who are called to do something that's different. So like the things that you're called to, Norbert, there are a lot of people that don't understand it. There are a lot of people that misunderstand it. There are a lot of people from the outside that judge it, And so I learned that very acutely in Keller's experience. God had told me I will do a miracle in Ocean View. And yet people are speaking in saying, oh, well, you're choosing your ministry over Keller. You should go to America, or the best treatment is in America. You go to America. People just speak, and God had already spoken to me. And so that is something I learned there. And I've had to learn it again and again in ministry, both ministry in the States and here. And now here it's become bigger in the sense of we're running a nonprofit. My husband and I, 50 young men and women that are in it. We have 25 staff. We're missionaries who are constantly sharing our story and teaching. Now with Keller's story, I've written that story and I'm an author and speaker. We still do a lot of community development. So that means that you feel called to give and to build and to serve. And yet people will speak in a lot and people have opinions a lot. And so I think for me, I've learned that I'm a lot more sensitive than I realized. And I'm a lot tougher than I realized. And I learned that with Keller through his journey too. I'm actually a neurodivergent person myself, which I only learned a few years ago. But I have a lot of sensitivity with noise and with fabrics, but also my heart has a lot of sensitivities. So where some people can just kind of like not worry about what people say, I'm very sensitive to people and to relationships and to outside voices. And so I've learned that I have to bring my heart to Jesus again and again and listen to what he has said and who he has said I am and what he has asked me to do. I am accountable to him and only him. I'm also in a family. And so my actions, they reverberate among my family. And so I have to be accountable to my husband. And how does that impact you? And how does this thing that I think God's saying, how does it impact you? And my kids too, you can't fake it with kids, which is a beautiful thing, but they see all of you. And so all of this means I have to come to Jesus and listen to what he's asked me to do and who he's asked me to be. And also just go to Jesus to heal. He is the one saying, well done, or he is the one saying you missed the mark here. It's not the voices outside. And then I also care very deeply what my family thinks, how it affects them, what their perception is. We are in it together. And being in another country, in ministry, now building all the things we're building, I've realized that the safety and the connection, the health of my family is really, really important. You can't go and change the world if you're coming home to this broken, stressed out, last on the list place, which is often what people in ministry do, or people in entrepreneurship, they put their family last. And the other thing is you have to put your soul first too, So I take lots of walks, I hike, I run. It has to I have to be at peace in here before I go to bring peace out there. And I think a lot of Christians get this wrong, that they're trying to save the world and they haven't experienced it themselves.
That's so true. That is so true. You really, Mark, everybody is called to do something. And sometimes when we believe that we're called to do this great things, but then it all comes back to the one true voice that really speaks into our lives and taking care of the immediate ministry that we have. That's so, so true.
And can I just I want to just add that people will always misunderstand you and people always have an opinion. And you have to bring in people into your tribe that see you for who you are, your best and worst days. And it has to be your family too. And you're going to have people that say things. You're going to have people that don't see it. And that's just okay. As I get older in ministry and in building the things that I build, not everyone understands. And even my husband, he'll tease me. I'll take a picture of it. It's for the brand. He'll tease me about stuff. And so, you got to keep it light and you've got to just trust God for the right voices and really protect their relationships. And the rest is just downside.
Yeah. I love your family because you're one of the most authentic, genuine, fun, loving people. Hey, fun. You guys are really fun. Like, I mean, that's not even an understatement. That's so true. Sarah, your story resonates deeply with those who feel misunderstood, lost, and overwhelmed by being challenged all the time. And that's what you said earlier, that there's so many voices, there's so many hurts, and you go through a lot in life. If you can share to us some like practical tips, 1 or 2 or 3 strategies you would give to our podcast listeners who might feel lost or unsure on how to overcome these obstacles, whether they're like small or they're like unsurmountable. What strategies do you impart to yourselves that you can share with us?
Yeah, great question. I think one of the things that's helped me to overcome when I'm misunderstood or challenges is placing myself around people that also have a lot of challenges. And sometimes their challenges are very different than mine. To put myself in authentic community. So I have a Bible study and I have some friendships and we really share the hard and the good. Like we're very raw. And I think that really helped me to just remember that this will pass and that other people have challenges. It doesn't minimize or negate my challenges, but I'm around people who are also in it. And we're fighting for God's promises and we're fighting to see the light and we're fighting to see God's glory. It's like we're all kind of wrestling like Jacob. And I think that helps when you have people that are like really also fighting to see God's glory. And fighting, saying, I will not let you go until you bless me. And together you do that. And they also have their own battle. But my community is very authentic, very real, shares in a deep way. And that really helps. I was just texting my small group for them to come over Thursday and said, I'm about to go to America. So I need some prayer. I know you need prayer too. But I really share those places of need and I lead in vulnerability so that other people are vulnerable to me. But it just creates spaces where I know we can get through this. And then we come together and we celebrate. And then I always remember, this is something I've really been practicing lately, about remembering that everything is for me. So God, nothing is against us. God is a God who's for us. But no matter what happens, even if it's evil in the world and God has allowed it, God has allowed it because it's somehow forming me. Something in it is for me to change me, to mold me, to sharpen me. I am not a victim in this world. I'm doing intercultural ministry, doing ministry in townships and impoverished places. You see a lot of people who struggle with victim mindset. A lot of impoverished people struggle with that, but a lot of people in the first world struggle with that too. And when bad things happen, we're all shocked. But we have God, and He will allow things. He doesn't make them happen. He allows them for us. He is for us. I had a huge disappointment this last week. Just this huge thing that was supposed to happen that just fell through the last minute. And I was worried about money and I was worried about the relationships and how it would look. And then I'm trying to pick the pieces and my sister's here in Africa visiting. It was a mess. And I just kept saying, okay, God, I feel like you have forgotten us or we made a mistake. But I'm going to be curious because you are for us. So if this thing that I thought was so good, all of it fell through, it didn't happen, it broke, what do you have? Because you are a good father. So what are you teaching me? What are you revealing in me? What is beyond what I can see? Like, show me your glory and I will not let you go until you bless me. And I think that the people of God who wrestle with God to say, where are you in this? And I really, really believe, I believe walking with people authentically and vulnerably, and then just wrestling with God, saying, show me your glory. Where are you here?
I think I just want to give a quick recap from guest what you said, and I love it because it's so practical and it's easy to apply also in our own life. You're an entrepreneur, whatever you're doing in life. You said first that to be part of an authentic community, that's really, really important. And you do all of these things that they are there to help you in whatever, in the ups and in the downs and in the valleys of your life. You also said that it's good to create spaces for vulnerability and celebrations. I think that was a very good strategy, just to being open to God speaking into you. And then lastly, you said like that everything is for me, that God has something in it and you're not a victim. And that's so, so helpful. Sarah, I could talk to you the whole time. This is so good.
Hey.
I just want to wrap up our conversation, this question, and maybe you can also invite our people, our tribe, to, if they want to know more about you, how they can get hold of you. You have a coaching program, you have your book, and but before you say that, I just wanted to ask you, in all these experiences that you've had, what has been the most profound characteristic of God that you've experienced all throughout your life, your journey, and how is that relationship with Him?
I think I really tend to be anyone who's an Enneagram person. I'm an Enneagram 3, which is like a performer, it's an achiever. I love to achieve for Jesus Christ. And sometimes it looks shiny, and it never is as shiny as it looks. But at the end of the day, everything we offer to God is filthy rags compared to His glory and His goodness. And so in all the things I've tried to prove to God that I'm worthy, or show the world His love in His name, again and again, God meets me just with His love. And I am loved. And I love because He first loved me. But all of us, we love because He first loved us. But anything that I try to offer to God, for God, with God, at the end of the day, the only thing I hear is that I'm loved. I could never do what I do. We could never do the things in the kingdom we do if we didn't come from a place of love. The world does not offer it. If you're looking for satisfaction, to quench your thirst in the world, you never will be satisfied. But again and again, He just tells me I am loved. Every victory at the highest of highs, He just tells me that I'm loved, not because of them, just because I am. And the lowest of lows, I'm loved. You know, 'cause sometimes things happen to you. Sometimes things happen in you. We also make mistakes, you know, things fall apart. We break things and make things fall apart. And yet we are loved, not because of what we do, not because of what we offer. So His voice of love is a constant in my life. And His scriptures on His deep love for us always just permeate through the noise of ministry and building the kingdom. And I could never continue. And when you give from that place, when you serve, when you build from that place, you're satisfied already. You don't need whatever is out there, whatever you build, whatever you achieve, whatever grows. It's just extra. Because we are
100%. 100%. Sarah, how can our people get hold of you?
Yes, please. So I have a website, sarahcollinsprince.com. My book, Anguish for Awakening, is available on Amazon. And I am now recently a life coach. Just finished my certification and I'm going out into the world. I do that in Cape Town in person, but also online. And so on my website, you can find out coaching. And I just love walking along with people. I love sharing the crazy things that God has done here, and it's inspiring. I hope that people have hope walking alongside our weird journey in our weird world, because we have a hilarious, alive, vibrant God who wants to walk alongside of us and just adventure with us and help us to know we're loved. And so I love doing that for the people.
Wow. Thank you so much, Sarah, for joining us on our show today.
Thank you, friends.
Oh, Masterpiece Makers, thank you so much for listening to our conversation. And please go check out Sarah Collins Prince. We'll drop all her details on our description. And yes, I hope you were able to gain some strategies on how to overcome obstacles in life, because here on this show, we're always very passionate to build your faith and inspire your business. Until next time, only here on the Making a Masterpiece podcast.